Good evening. The presentation tonight is the presentation that was offered to the Chamber of Commerce, the Regional Chamber of Commerce of East Brunswick, last Thursday evening by the Council on Economic Health. Would you like to hear the good news about the economy first or the bad news? Well, let's talk about the good news first. In appraising the economy of East Brunswick over the last 3 years, the basic conclusion is that our economy is healthy, businesses are growing, the industrial sector of our town has been improving and building, and there is still interest in locating and developing in this community. The bad news is that no community like East Brunswick it's not an island unto itself. Therefore, it has to bear the burden of a declining region. In spite of this, however, news about the region is not altogether pessimistic. New Jersey, within the Northeast, is still experiencing growth, although it will be slower than forecasters had envisioned. And like New Jersey, Middlesex County still shows signs of a healthy but slower growth trend. The problems that we face in New Jersey are similar to the problems that we face in Middlesex County and East Brunswick. Just a general shopping list would include such problems as traffic, energy, housing, and water supply, hazardous waste management, employment, taxation. But the all-important thing is that we can recognize these problems early and deal with them effectively to manage growth and to begin to solve the problems before they get out of hand. The slides shown on the screen are those of East Brunswick, a community with a past, with a historic past like Old Bridge, and a growing future such as the Town Green Center here. In the plan that we've dealt with, we've looked at Route 18, we've looked at the entire community to come up with a plan that will be a program for economic stability and economic health for the next 20 years. The first area of the economy deals with the industrial sector of the community. The industrial sector involves such areas as the Harts Lane area, the Edgeboro Road area, and are those uses including warehousing, office development, and industrial development. The basic recommendation for the Edgeboro Road area is that it, like the Harts Lane area, be developed in such a character that we increase the amount of industrial activities that have been occurring there, but also provide for new uses. In the Harts Lane area, we're suggesting that there be provision for mid-rise offices on vacant, wooded, and heavily sloped land, where there can be more active and flexible zoning to provide for more creative development of those parcels of land. There has been interest for executive types of facilities here, including executive training. This facility would be located, these facilities, these offices could be located on either side of the Harts Lane area towards Tice's Lane. The second area of industrial development, a major industrial development, will occur in the Edgeboro Road area. This area has been experiencing industrial development over the past several years, and it's recommended that by the plan that the Edgeboro Road area be utilized for industrial uses of such a character that the finished product is marketable in the Northeast United States. The finished products from such future usage should include high freight consuming items such as bakery, meat, fish, paper, and packaging materials. Such additional usage should be a kind which will promote the employment of skilled labor, especially from the East Brunswick labor force. It's also recommended in the area that resource recovery type facility be located here. It has accessibility to river access. It would involve the resource recovery or the burning of solid waste to generate steam in an environmentally sound method. That steam in turn can be used to generate electricity, which can be sold and marketed for industrial development in the Edgeboro Road area. The recommendations of the Council on Economic Health are those of the Middlesex County Solid Waste Management Program, and that is that the resource recovery facility is best located in the Edgeboro Road land area. Finally, a resource recovery facility has advantages for the economic base of the community. A privately run facility could be a substantial rateable to the township in terms of tax dollars. Those basically conclude the recommendations for the industrial areas, including Edgeboro and the Harts Lane area. The next set of recommendations deal with the overall office industrial areas throughout the town. Typically shown are the Tice's Lane and Harts Lane area, where we looked at developable land, vacant land, building coverage of developed land, the expected development by square footage that could be generated over a 20-year period, the number of employees that would be additionally added to those areas over 20 years, expected number of expected traffic demand, and expected revenues in terms of 1980 tax dollars. The Tice's Lane, Harts Lane area, if built today, would generate about $1 million in new revenue. All totaled, then, the office and industrial development will generate somewhere in the order of $4 to $6 million in additional tax dollars to the township on a yearly basis over a 20-year build-out plan. The Route 18 has been another major concern of the economic health program. There are areas of vacant land, underutilized land, of problems with deteriorating structures and deteriorating buildings, as well as overall aesthetics and overall traffic problems. These have been addressed quite at length in some of the studies conducted by the Council on Economic Health and in the work that has been done on Route 18. As a result of their recommendations in looking at the various land areas, they've recommended that rezoning occur to allow for potentially higher land usage. This is based upon the fact that the area has developed with regional shopping centers, and the area has a continued growth towards regional development, that is, regional community shopping centers, rather than localized shopping. One such area that could allow for more regional development would be the Ramada Inn site, where it is proposed by the Economic Health Plan that the land area develop for higher land usage for a series of hotel and conference types of facilities near the interchange 9 of the New Jersey Turnpike. The recommendations would include the allowing for a 8 to 10 story hotel conference center towards Schoolhouse Lane and towards Interchange 9 adjacent to the Turnpike. The slide shown here depicts that area with the at the northern edge of the municipality. The model was prepared to illustrate how the existing Ramada Inn, shown in white, could be added to by additional building adjacent to it and towards the interchange. The next area proposed for development is what might be termed or called the Golden Triangle. This area is the area around Tice's Lane and Old Bridge Turnpike and Route 18. Where the transportation center is located, Mid-State Mall, and the movie theater. These areas are recommended for what's called mixed-use development to allow for more options in terms of development, to provide for, in addition to retail and commercial activities, to allow for more office-type development, and to allow for higher-use residential development. The next area recommended is the area around West Ferris Street. Again, it's recommended that more flexible zoning be provided to allow for office-type development rather than the type of mixture of and problematic land uses that occur at this particular site now. The West Ferris Street has access to Route 18 and to West Ferris Street. Another recommendation deals with the regional shopping center zone adjacent to Kmart and the Meyer Shopping Center. The shown in the slides is an area that presently has these uses here, and it's been recommended that this is an ideal location for regional shopping and should be encouraged because of the access via the Summerhill Road, via Cranberry Road, and Route 18. There's additional land there for development shown in the slides. This area would then become a major focus for the regional shopping in the community. Final recommendation deals with the eastern end of Route 18, where it's suggested that an office professional zone with a housing option be provided on some of the steeper sloped areas that are immediately adjacent to Route 18 but fall off away from 18. They have not developed for retail types of uses because of their inaccessibility, but for office type development without needing a lot of fanfare in terms of signage and access, they can be provided. They can be very acceptable sites for office type development. The overall concepts all involve the recommendation to encourage redevelopment with the private sector, to form, one, an economic nonprofit corporation with the private sector, two, to rezone for higher land usage, and three, to redevelop areas that are presently underutilized. Next set of the study dealt with physical appearance and beautification. Through the series of analysis and surveys taken by shoppers, as well as a walking survey shown here, where the staff had walked Route 18 and noted various problems such as lack of buffer and street lighting inconsistencies, overhead utility wires. The overall recommendations were for improvement to the appearance of 18. Every retailer knows that good window dressing is important to sales. So the overall beautification program calls for, one, an urban design plan, two, a capital improvements investment program by East Brunswick, three, an improved roadway plan by the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and four, assistance in site plan preparation. Shade trees and sidewalks are proposed for 18 in the order of $180,000 over the next 5 years as a result of capital improvement expenditures. Also, improvements are needed to the roadway itself. The recommendation here is for 2 through lanes in either direction on Route 18, 1 local lane, and then the creation of a acceleration-deceleration lane into the shopping centers and office uses along Route 18. That is the removal of the shoulder area, which is not really needed. These traffic and transportation recommendations constitute the fourth recommendation, or the fourth areas of the overall program for Route 18. The overall recommendations also propose the closing of unnecessary curb cuts and side streets along Route 18 to provide for freer flow of traffic. They also involve the creation of new interchanges with 18, such as the one shown here, by removing the hazardous condition at Edgeboro Road and Route 18 where Old Bridge Turnpike comes in, and creating an improved interchange at that point where there'd be a grade separation. Another one shown here is the area of Schoolhouse Lane and Route 18. The recommendations for traffic and transportation are overall comprehensive traffic plan, eliminate at-grade intersections, creation of more bus stops, and generally improve the flow of traffic. The sign program involves a fifth area of study and fifth area of recommendations, where the township looked at various studies and research done on signs and what kinds of signs would be seen at various speeds. Shown here the Bilo shopping center, Bilo liquor store area, and how shown in red how a new sign would be much more visible in red over the proposed existing sign. The typical shown here is the Village Green shopping center, where the existing signage, there's just too much information on the sign. The overall recommendations are for more flexible sign standards, to provide for improvement monetary fund for sign changes, and to seek changes from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for signage. A lot of the signs along Route 18 are those put up by the state which cannot be read and which add to the clutter of Route 18 and the visual impact. The final set of recommendations deal with financing and economic incentives for development. Over the past several years, the township has received a number of grants which have assisted the economic community and businesses. From the Economic Development Administration grants totaling almost $750,000 to recent transportation money to Coastal Zone Management Program money, all of which are being brought into play for improved economic activity for the township. These grant monies have totaled over $1.7 million and are being used to promote and encourage improvements in the economic community. The recommendations then for economic incentives include providing information on programs to the businesses, to working with businesses to cut red tape, to apply for grant programs and loan programs that are available to them from the federal government, to form a nonprofit economic corporation, and to establish perhaps a redevelopment agency to work with the business community to redevelop properties that are presently underutilized. It's felt that the economic and financing incentives are key to a number of the plan recommendations, and that in fact none of these other earlier recommendations will really work until there is definite incentives and definite workable programs for financing to the business community. The final set of slides illustrate a proposal for urban design improvements to Route 18. The introduction of corporate facilities near the intersection of Tice's Lane and Route 18, as shown in the model here and shown on the slides. It's envisioned that a corporate facility such as Greater New York Life, which moved in to East Brunswick on Summerhill Road, could also be enticed to this particular area. The township has prepared a model and urban design program which would involve a major department store of approximately 375,000 square feet to provide for a corporate headquarters and to provide for luxury residential condominiums on this particular site. Land is almost entirely owned, about 90%, by the township and is available for development. Total new square footage would amount to about 1.5 million, and the potential impacts in terms of traffic and transportation have been looked at considerably to try to determine the best ways of moving traffic in and out of the site. It's proposed that there be a parking deck to accommodate approximately 5,000 vehicles on the site through three-story tiered deck parking. The existing store frontages along 18 would be incorporated into a new shopping center with a major department store, and new development would involve the office projects and other types of amenities on the site, including plazas for pedestrians and extensive landscaping, and the parking deck structure is shown here in a model view. Projected tax revenue, if this project were built, and again it's just a proposal, would total $3.3 million in additional tax revenue, $1980 to the township. For East Brunswick Township. And just to finally orient people on the particular urban design plan that we've prepared, this is Route 18 running along here. This is Tice's Lane. This is Old Bridge Turnpike. The particular site that we've gone through and explained is one of the first areas that we've been redesigning for our overall plan for Route 18. The building shown in mass here is the transportation center with the international market operating out of this building. The BP gas station is up here on the corner. The transportation center has been recently redesigned over the last year, and with the cooperation of the federal government and the state government who paid for the improvements, the entire project has now been redesigned and reconstructed to allow for bus transportation into the site, to make it a major bus transportation center. Bus transportation will be becoming increasingly important, and it's important, therefore, that the parking areas be oriented for commuter parking, to slow down vehicles as they travel through the center, but to encourage the use of the buses into the location. The proposed plan would call for a new structure off the center axis of the transportation center, another major new facility behind the existing stores that are located along Route 18. These existing retail stores presently have inadequate parking and inadequate frontage along their front yard areas. What would be created here would be to attract a major department store facility into this building and here, with other ancillary retail outlets, which in turn would be created off of a new mall, pedestrian mall, which would orient the existing stores into this new center. The other facility here would be to attract a corporate location for a corporate client, and office would comprise the first 4 or 5 stories of the structure, with additional office space for other users along Old Bridge Turnpike. Finally, the last several floors of this structure, as well as this one, could be condominiums, luxury condominiums for sale. Underneath this entire structure, which is not shown in the model, is an existing pit which is owned almost entirely by the township, as well as this transportation center. This land area in here is capable of supporting 3 levels of deck parking, which would be the parking support for this facility. The entire network has been redesigned to allow for free flow of traffic in and out of the center. Finally, the plan which we envision would involve the activity of private sector development over about a 10-year to 12-year process. That is, attracting private investors to work with the project, to develop the property, and then to generate additional tax revenue through the development of that particular land area. This plan is just one of several that we'll be working on over the next year to develop a new economic revitalization to Route 18. Not all of the areas of Route 18 need this kind of design work. There are existing centers, existing shopping centers, and existing retail areas that are basically well designed and operate efficiently. However, some of them, as we've pointed out through the presentation, do need rework. This is the kind of design work that will be continuing on over that next year period. The final program then will be an urban design plan for the entire road, working with the business community, with the individual store owners, the individual property owners and developers, to generate a plan that is workable for them, as well as one that's going to be an improvement to the community. The final program then is that we're continually looking for new changes. We're continually trying to be creative about where we're going in East Brunswick. We're trying to plan for our growth and our future. The only way we're going to do this is by continually being innovative and being enthusiastic about East Brunswick's economic future. Thank you.